Hello everybody and welcome back to another math movie. Today we're covering 3.4 dividing decimals by whole numbers. This is on page 128 in your book. This is the second to last section in this chapter. We did multiplication before. Now we're moving on to division. So let's jump right in, get started. No better way to do it. So, a couple of things that I want you to keep in mind while you are solving these problems is number one, we need to remember to place the decimal point in the quotient above the decimal point in the dividend. Then step number two, just divide like you would with whole numbers. Here's what I mean. You'll see here that we have a division problem that includes a decimal point in it. What we've done is we've just taken the decimal and we've moved it straight up from the dividend into our quotient. It just goes toot, 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 toot. That means straight up. And we put it right there in the point right there, and then we divide like normal. 2 goes into 8 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8. Subtract it. 8 minus 8 is 0. Bring down your 6. 2 goes into 6 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6. Subtract it, and no remainder. That's the exact process that we're going to be doing today. So here we have 7.6, and we need to divide that by 4. And so we are going to do 7.6 on the inside, 4 on the outside. And remember, first thing, bring your decimal point straight up. Straight up. There it goes. Right above the decimal point in the dividend. So now we ask ourselves, how many times does 4 go into 7? We're going to divide just like normal. 4 goes into 7 one time. 4 times 1 is 4. Then we're going to subtract. 7 minus 4 is 3. Bring down your 6. 4 goes into 36. How many times? Your answer is 9. 9 times 4 is 36. 36 minus 36 is 0. And so our answer is 1.9. So it's very critical that you bring your decimal point straight up from your dividend, so that way it's in the correct place. If you move it and put it over here, you'd get 19. And if you put your decimal point over here, then it would be 0.19. So before you even start to divide, it'd be good to get into the habit of just moving it up and then dividing like normal. Here's another example that we'll do together. 31.75 divided by 5. So let's write out our answer, 31.75 divided by 5. And before I do any kind of dividing, I'm actually going to bring my decimal point straight up. There it goes, right there. 5 does not go into 3, so I'm going to look at the next place value and ask myself, how many times does 5 go into 31? 5 goes into 31 6 times, because 6 times 5 is 30. And so now I'm going to subtract. And 31 minus 30 is 1. Bring down the 7. 5 goes into 17 3 times. 5 times 3 is 15. 17 minus 15 is 2. Bring down the 5. And 5 goes into 25, a nice even amount of times, of 5 times. And there's no remainder. And so my answer for this is 6.35. Here's the first of many on your owns to practice. So pause it here. Work it out. 36.4 divided by 2 using the same steps that we've went over, and we've done a few examples. Okay, first step, 2 goes into 3 how many times? 1 time. 2 times 1 is 2. Subtract that. 3 minus 2 is 1. Bring down your 6. 2 goes into 16 8 times. 8 times 2 is 16. Nothing left. Bring down your 4. And 2 goes into 4 2 times, and I better put my decimal point up before I forget. And so my correct answer is 18.2. Here's another one, 22.2 divided by 6. So pause the video, work it out. When you have the answer, unpause it. Okay, let's see how you did here. 6 does not go into 2, so you ask yourself how many times does 6 go into 22? That's 3 times. 6 times 3 is 18. I need to be a good example here. And I need to put my decimal point before I even start. 22 minus 18 is 4. Bring down the 2. 6 goes into 42 a nice even amount of 7 times. 7 times 6 is 42. Nothing left over. And so my answer is 3.7. Here's the next on your own to try. This is going to be 4.38 divided by 12. And there is something different about this one that you might come across as you work it out. Just keep going. Unpause it and we'll walk through it together. But don't get confused or discouraged if you come across something that we haven't talked about just yet. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put my decimal point up top and then I'm going to start. 12 does not go into 4. So just to keep my place, I'm going to put a 0 there. It's not necessary, but I'm going to put it anyway. 12 goes into 43 a total of 3 times, and 12 times 3 is 36. 43 minus 36 gives me 7, and when I bring down the 8, I need to find out how many times that 12 goes into 78. When I do that, I know that it's 6 times because 12 times 6 gives me 72. And I'm left with 78 minus 72 is 6, but I have no more numbers to bring down. So what do? Because I have a remainder still. What I'm going to add, and this is the part that we haven't gone over yet, is I'm going to add an extra 0, and I'm going to bring down that 0, and I'm going to put the 0 like it was there all along. Now I'm going to ask myself, how many times does 12 go into 60? 12 goes into 60 5 times, and 12 times 5 is 60. Oop, not 65. I was thinking 5, but it really is just 60. And when you subtract it, you get 0. And so my answer is going to be 0.365. That's it. So that extra point again was when we got down, we brought down our 8, and we had 72, and we had 6 left over. I just created another 0, added the 0, and brought that down, and that allowed me to get to my final answer. Here's one for you to try. Now that you know the trick, let's see if you can do this one. 6.2 divided by 4. Alright, bring up your decimal. 4 goes into 6 1 time. 6 minus 4 is 2. Bring down the 2. 4 goes into 22 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. 22 minus 20 is 2. Here's where we add that 0. We bring it on down. And 4 goes into 20 5 times, and that's it. So my answer for this one is 1.55. Alright, well that brings us to the end of another video. 3.4 dividing decimals is done. We've completed it. I hope that it makes sense. this is the second to last video in this chapter, so we're wrapping it up. Our next video will be the last. I'll leave you with the joke. The joke is, what did 0 say to the number 8? He said, nice belt. Alright guys, thank you for tuning in. We will see you next time as we wrap up chapter number 3. I hope you have a good night or good morning or whenever you're watching this. And remember that you're special and that God loves you.